Beyond the Gates spoilers. Fairmont Crest is rarely quiet, but on this particular Monday the air itself seems charged, as if the manicured streets and pristine estates are holding their breath in anticipation of something deeply unsettling. The gated community, long defined by wealth, power, and carefully curated appearances, becomes the stage for a series of events that expose how fragile even the most controlled lives can be. At the center of the turmoil, Anita Dupree, a woman whose strength has long been taken for granted, now suddenly rendered vulnerable in a way no one saw coming. The shocking news that Anita has abruptly collapsed spreads through Fairmont Crest with alarming speed, rippling outward like a fracture through glass. Those closest to her are left reeling, struggling to reconcile the image of the formidable matriarch with the reality of her fragile condition. And nowhere is that shock more palpable than in the reactions of Sharon Winger and Vernon Dupree, both of whom are present when the unthinkable happens. Their horror is not loud or theatrical, it is the quiet, paralyzing kind that settles in the chest, leaving them unable to process what they are seeing as the woman who has anchored so much of their world lies motionless, her fate suddenly uncertain. For Vernon Dupree, the moment is devastating on a deeply personal level, cutting through layers of composure he has spent a lifetime perfecting. The man who prides himself on control, on being the steady force behind the Dupree legacy, finds himself unmoored, staring at the possibility of loss with a fear he can neither articulate nor suppress. As the reality of Anita's condition begins to sink in, Vernon's grief manifests not only as worrying, but as guilt, regret, and an overwhelming sense that there may be things left unsaid, wounds left unhealed, and time that may no longer be available to make things right. The previews hint at a Vernon who is not just concerned, but quietly breaking, pushed into an emotional corner that forces him to confront how much Anita truly means to him beyond titles and shared history. In this fragile state, it becomes increasingly clear that Vernon will seek help in an unexpected place, reaching out to someone viewers might never have imagined as his confidant. This decision alone raises troubling and intriguing questions. Is this person someone from his past? Someone connected to secrets he has buried? Or someone whose involvement could complicate matters even further? The choice suggests desperation, and desperation in Fairmont Crest has a way of unraveling long-protected truths. While Anita's crisis casts a long shadow, the rest of the community does not stop moving, and elsewhere in the city, a very different kind of revelation is unfolding. Nicole Dupree, glowing with a confidence that feels newly earned, finds herself in a rare moment of openness with her sister Donnie Dupree. For once, the sisters are not divided by tension, rivalry, or unspoken resentment, but drawn together by something lighter, more intimate, and unexpectedly joyful. Nicole shares a personal milestone, one that hints at emotional and physical connection rather than obligation or expectation, confiding in Donnie about a passionate night with Dr. Carlton Fitzgerald that has left her feeling seen, desired, and alive in a way she perhaps had not allowed herself to feel in a long time. The significance of this moment lies not just in the romance itself, but in what it represents for Nicole, a woman who often shoulders responsibility with quiet endurance and rarely permits herself indulgence or vulnerability. Her willingness to share this experience suggests growth, trust, and a desire to reclaim parts of herself that have been overshadowed by family duty and external pressure. The sisters' conversation, filled with warmth and laughter, stands in stark contrast to the darkness surrounding Anita's condition, creating a poignant emotional duality that defines the episode. Donnie's reaction is not judgmental or guarded, but genuinely happy, allowing the two women to bond in a way that feels refreshingly sincere. This lighter exchange serves as a reminder that even within a family defined by power struggles and buried secrets, moments of genuine connection still possible, though they often arrive when least expected. Yet even this happiness carries an undercurrent of uncertainty, as viewers are left to wonder whether Nicole's newfound joy will be allowed to last, or whether it too will become collateral damage in the larger storm threatening to engulf the Dupree family. At the same time, another dynamic quietly takes shape, one that speaks to generational tension and the passing of influence within Fairmont Crest. Bill Hamilton steps into a mentoring role with Tomas Navarro, signaling a shift that could have long-term consequences for both men. Bill, a seasoned figure who understands the unspoken rules of power, ambition, and survival within elite circles, appears poised to teach Tomas lessons that extend far beyond simple guidance. This is not about kindness alone. It is about shaping perspective, instilling discipline, and perhaps testing loyalty. Tomas, still navigating his place in this world, stands at a crossroads, and Bill's influence could either steady him or push him toward choices that align more closely with Bill's own complex moral framework. The nature of these lessons remains deliberately ambiguous, leaving viewers to speculate whether Bill's guidance will empower Tomas or quietly entangle him in obligations he may not yet fully understand. Together, these intersecting storylines paint a picture of a community on the brink, where private moments and public crises collide with unsettling intensity. Anita's collapse forces those around her to confront mortality and emotional truth, while Vernon's impending reach for unexpected help hints at secrets poised to surface. Nicole and Donnie's rare moment of sisterly warmth offers brief relief, yet feels fragile against the weight of what looms ahead. Meanwhile, Bill and Tomas's developing dynamic suggests that the future of Fairmont Crest be shaped as much by quiet mentorship as by explosive revelations. Monday's events do not resolve these tensions. They sharpen them, leaving the audience suspended in anticipation, acutely aware that in Beyond the Gates, calm is never permanent, and every moment of connection exists on borrowed time. As Fairmont Crest continues to reel from Anita Dupree's sudden collapse, the emotional aftershocks ripple outward, colliding with secrets that were never meant to surface under such fragile circumstances. The community is already raw, its residents walking a careful line between concern and self-preservation, and it is within this unstable atmosphere that Donnie Dupree finds herself facing a question she may not yet be ready to answer. The warmth she recently shared with Nicole stands in sharp contrast to the unresolved weight pressing against her conscience, because beneath Donnie's composed exterior lies a truth that could fracture more than just her own sense of balance. The memory of her impulsive kiss with Bill Hamilton lingers like a fault line beneath her conversations, raising the unsettling possibility that her moment of vulnerability may not remain hers alone. The question is not simply whether Donnie will choose to reveal this secret, but whether she can continue carrying it as the emotional cost quietly escalates, especially as Bill's presence looms larger and more complicated by the day. Bill Hamilton, for his part, is no stranger to compartmentalizing risk, but even he seems unsettled by how many variables are suddenly converging around him. The kiss with Donnie was not part of any calculated strategy. It was a lapse, a moment when control slipped, and that makes it dangerous in ways Bill understands all too well. Unfortunately for him, Tomas Navarro was close enough to witness what was never meant to be seen, and that single fact has altered the balance of power between employer and subordinate in ways that neither of them can fully undo. On the surface, Bill's decision to promote Tomas to junior partner appears generous, even visionary, positioning the young lawyer as a rising star within the firm. Yet beneath that polished announcement lies a far more calculated motive: silence. The promotion is not merely a reward for competence, but a leash, an unspoken contract binding Tomas to Bill's discretion and reminding him that advancement can be both a gift and a warning. Tomas, however, is not naive, and the sudden shift in his status brings with it a subtle but dangerous change in demeanor. Now that he holds the title of partner, the question becomes whether he will wear it with humility or allow it to inflate his sense of entitlement. There are early signs that Tomas may be testing boundaries, carrying himself with a confidence that edges toward arrogance, perhaps believing the promotion places him on equal footing with those who once held unquestioned authority over him. This shift does not go unnoticed by Bill, whose patience has limits even when his own secrets are at stake. Bill understands hierarchy language, and when he senses that Tomas may be misreading his position, he responds not with open confrontation, but with a recalibration of power, making it unmistakably clear where Tomas truly stands within the firm. This tension raises the possibility that Tomas might push too far, perhaps even hinting at the kiss during moments of frustration or wounded pride. Whether he explicitly references it or merely allows its implication to hang in the air, the threat alone is enough to force Bill's hand. If Tomas begins to forget that his promotion was conditional, Bill may feel compelled to remind him that titles can be as easily stripped away as they are granted. In that sense, the promotion becomes both shield and sword, designed to protect Bill's reputation while also serving as a mechanism to discipline Tomas should he lose sight of the unspoken rules governing their relationship. The looming question is whether Tomas will recognize this dynamic in time, or whether his ambition will blind him to the precariousness of his newfound status. While this professional power struggle unfolds, the emotional core of Fairmont Crest shifts toward Naomi Hawthorne, whose private battle carries consequences far beyond her own body. Naomi's BRCA positive diagnosis has introduced a quiet but profound fear into her life, one that reshapes how she views her future, her family, and the choices she must now confront. At present, Ashley Morgan is the only person Naomi has trusted with this information, and that trust is not accidental. Ashley's steadiness, her ability to listen without judgment, makes her a refuge in a moment when Naomi feels increasingly unmoored. Their connection deepens as Naomi leans on Ashley not just for comfort, but for clarity, trying to understand what this diagnosis means in practical, emotional, and relational terms. The most pressing question Naomi faces is whether to tell Jacob Hawthorne the truth. Keeping the diagnosis from him offers temporary protection, sparing him worrying and preserving a sense of normalcy. But it also isolates Naomi at a time when isolation feels dangerous. Each passing day makes the secret heavier, transforming it from a shield into a burden that threatens to erode the intimacy she shares with Jacob. Ashley, caught between supporting Naomi's autonomy and recognizing the emotional cost of silence, becomes an anchor, helping Naomi navigate the fear that disclosure could change how Jacob sees her, while also acknowledging that withholding the truth could create a fracture far more damaging in the long run. Taken together, these storylines reflect a common theme threading through Fairmont Crest: the cost of secrets and the illusion of control. Donnie's unresolved guilt, Bill's strategic maneuvering, Tomas's precarious rise, and Naomi's quiet medical crisis all exist on parallel tracks, each revealing how power, silence, and vulnerability intersect in ways that rarely remain contained. As Monday's episode unfolds, viewers are left watching characters stand at critical thresholds, aware that every choice carries consequences that cannot be easily reversed. Whether it is a kiss that refuses to stay buried, a promotion that masks coercion, or a diagnosis that demands honesty, the tension lies not in what has already happened, but in what each character chooses to do next. In Beyond the Gates, the most dangerous moments are rarely the loudest ones. They are the quiet decisions made in fear, pride, or desperation, long before the fallout becomes impossible to ignore.